Hello, good morning, and welcome to another morning session of Coffee With. I am your host, SAINABU, and with me today I have the CEO and founder of Assutech. I will not say his name, I'll let him do that himself. Please tell us your full name.
So my name is Hassan JALLOW, and Y is for Yusuf. Yeah.
We would like to know who was Hassan Jallow before he became the CEO and founder of Assutech.
So I was a kid living in the North Bank region in a village called Essel, and I spent most of my time around computers and electronics. I would say electronics for the most part when I was a kid until I started using computers when I was in the sixth grade. And as a child, I was not into sports a lot because I wasn't so good at sport, even though I was generally very active. Um, so I spent a lot of time in the library that we had there at the time that was built by the Gambian School Trust, and try to read every book that I can get my hands on. And my mom used to bring me, she used to teach at a nearby school, and she used to regularly bring me puzzles to fix. So that is really what consumed my time: reading, playing around with electronics, and hanging around with my friends, finding something to argue about. As teenagers, they think they know everything. We think we know everything at the time as teenagers.
How did you realize that you was into fixing radios and computers? Like, when did you realize that talent?
For me, it was just something that made me happy to figure out how stuff work. I was very inquisitive as a child, and if my mom bought me toys, it wouldn't be long before I get bored and open them and try to find out how they really work inside. At some point, my mom says, I'm not going to buy you toys anymore. So she buys my younger brother toys. But, of course, they didn't escape my wrath. I made sure to open them just a few weeks after he's got it. And, when I figured out how they work, I try to see how I can make them work differently, or how do I salvage the parts inside the electronics and maybe use them in another electronic device. I used to make toy cars that move around, and used to do some wiring in my house with my mom's help to help me pull the cables and everything. So that's really how my childhood was like. Looking back, I think I had a great childhood. I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
That is an interesting childhood because it's different compared to others. You like to fix things with wires and all that, so that's very cool. Tell us what inspired you to start Assutech.
When I was in high school, I've always had the idea of starting a company, but I just didn't know when. So I figured out, I registered my first email address in 2006 just by crossing the river and walking into an internet cafe and say, "Assalamu alaikum, ubil my box." I'm sure people have heard this story like countless times, but really that is where the name Assutech came from. It's not like I said, "I'm Hassan," or Assutech. That never happened. So really, what happened was I walked into an internet cafe. They asked me, "What's your name, Hassan? What's your surname, Jallow? What do you want to make your email address?" I said, I had no clue. So they said, "Oh, asujallow2006@yahoo.com." So I was so attached to that email, right? It was like, oh, I can't believe it. I have an email address. Look for the smallest opportunity to share that email address with somebody and start corresponding with them. And so fast forward in high school, I was building a website for myself. And I said, the whole idea is to show my friends, oh, look at what I built, right? But then I said, if my friends will have to use this website, why don't I put something useful for them? Then I started typing my school notes inside. And I started typing my school notes inside, and so that my friends wouldn't need to copy the notes. They can just go onto the site and just download and print it, or just read it. And that's it's that website that I called Assutech. So how I converted my email Asujallow2006 to Assutech, I still haven't been able to remember what that thought process was like. But really, that's where the name came from. And then fast forward, when I started university second year, there was a reputable institution in the country that wanted, they had a problem. They used a typewriter to produce a certificate that is required to authenticate all exports that leave the Gambia to prove that they originated from the Gambia. So I built the whole system and I showed it to them, and they were so blown away by it, and because it really automates the whole process and allows them to instantaneously generate reports and completely remove the typewriter from the equation. And they were so, I saw the impact that had, and I said, I bet many other institutions would need this.
Yeah.
And consequently, we ended up automating the entire business process of that institution. And I said, if this institution, I can build this system for this institution and it will have so much impact, I bet this can be done for many other institutions in the Gambia.
Yeah.
And that's really when I started taking things seriously. Assutech now, and a few months later, I registered Assutech.
So we know with every business there's always challenges. So please tell us which kind of challenges you endured before getting to the stage you are at now.
So the unfortunate thing is about those challenges, I don't remember them usually. So because it's tough, right? So I think when I was a kid, the default situation was I wanted to do something and everything I needed was not there. The resources were not there. For everything I want to build, even something as simple as a screwdriver was hard. So I think that kind of set my mind in a way that challenges are like the default of the world, right? That's the way the world is. And so, but I would say really one of the challenges would be, any startup will tell you this would be the financial challenge, right? And like, how do you really fund a startup? And I'm really happy that things went that way, because we have just learned a wealth of knowledge in terms of how do you manage a startup with almost zero finance. I never had funding until today. We never sought funding for Assutech, you know, for anything. Mostly what we've had is support from friends and family, you know, in terms of equipment and otherwise. And really, that's one of the challenges that you're going to face. And the other challenge would be finding the right engineering talent for building state-of-the-art solutions, right? And this is normal, right? You don't expect people from school to be ready to be productive in the industry, in the technology industry. You need to give them the right training, and that's a process. So we have been able to overcome that by not even looking for people who are readily productive in what we do, but finding people who have the potential and giving them the resources and coaching them to understand our development process and the technologies that we use.
Being a software engineering company, what difficulties have you faced with clients? Because I'm pretty sure you've worked with many clients. So what kind of difficulties have you faced with those clients?
I mean, again, a lot of times clients know their problem, right? But they don't exactly know the solution to the problem. So that's what we expect from them, right? That's not what they do. So you can have something called scope creep. You come, if you just follow the client tells you XYZ is what I want, and you do exactly XYZ, you may run into trouble. So you need to help the client to truly understand their problem and build a solution that fixes their problem, that falls within the context of what they want, as opposed to just listening to exactly what they want and just merely replicating that, because that may not address the problem. So you need to really break down their challenges, break down their processes, and focus on the ones that have the most pain points, and individually and address those components, and then slowly, spread that across the entire operational structure.
How did it feel to take part of the European Development Days, the Young Leaders Program earlier this year, as you demonstrated your online application, DECA?
Right, so I think that was a great opportunity. It was an initiative that was funded by the ITC under the Youth Empowerment Project and the Take a Fee campaign in particular. And it was a great experience to kind of focus with, to kind of network with like minds, and also having a platform to be able to showcase one of Assutech's products, DECA, which is a housing app. And the most thing that people have seen in the platform is the virtual tour, which is essentially just a component of the app itself. The app allows you to find a house for rent or for sale. The virtual tour just gives you a 360-degree experience. And And really, we really were excited with how people receive the product and how much value they see and how much impact that it can have in not only in the Gambia but in the continent at large, and subsequently, grow it globally, because housing is a problem that is existing everywhere, and it's a basic need. So, providing a technological solution to bridge the consumers with the house owners or any real estate agency, I think that is a solution that would help businesses to thrive and individuals to have their problems solved.
We need some words of wisdom for your fellow young people, how to inspire them so that they can also follow your footsteps and do something innovative. So what words of wisdom do you have to share with us?
I think the first thing is to take responsibility, to understand that for everything you want to do, it's not about what other people can do for you to make it happen, but it's about what you can do to make it happen. And for some reason, naturally, when you do that, you tend to be able to attract more help in accomplishing that. So, for example, if you wanted to learn computer programming, you can go to school if you have the opportunity, which is excellent, by the way. But if you don't have that opportunity, there are just so many resources online that you can read, and there's so many tutorials that you can follow online that can help you to acquire these skills. So I think that is one of the first steps. And the second step I realize is a lot of people don't do a lot of reading, especially young people, right? Today, people just want to watch videos, post things on Instagram, but it's just a wealth of knowledge in books that you can read. And I think it's about time that we encourage this, especially in the schools, to encourage young people to take up reading. There's just so much you can learn, and it's not just within your domain or area of interest, but reading will diversify your knowledge and allow you to better articulate yourself. Also allows you to be able to conveniently consume more information quickly and comprehensively. So I think reading is one of the things that youths really should take up, because that would really solve a lot of problems. Yeah.
So that was all we had for you in this morning session of Coffee With. That was the CEO and founder of Assutech, Hassan Y. JALLOW. And I must say, he's an interesting, young man. I was going to say kid, but he's not a kid. So he's an interesting young man. I think he's had an interesting childhood, considering that he was interested in building and fixing and, taking apart wires and radios and computers. And I think that's very, very cool. So I hope we've learned something from this interview. And do stay tuned for more. And I'm signing out. Bye-bye.